Family Affair was required viewing in my home. Heartwarming and funny, and to be truthful, it was a little bit sad. Even as a young kid, I recognized that this show wasn't your typical TV situation comedy. The cast on the show was excellent. Brian Keith, Sebastian Cabot, and this wonderful lady, the unstoppable Kathy Garver. Why do I call her unstoppable? Well, I think you'll better understand by the end of this video. Family Affair was, at least in part, very popular because of the pairing of Anissa Jones and Johnny Whitaker as twins Buffy and Jody. They weren't originally supposed to be twins, but when the casting directors saw how those two kids were together, well, scripts were rewritten and the rest, as they say, is television history. That said, I think a lot of the credit for the success of the show also has to go to Kathy, who played the twins' big sister, Cissy. She was just so kind and warm-hearted in the show. The kind of big sister that everyone wanted. She actually reminded me of my dad's younger sister who came to stay with us one summer. It was cool to have someone else in the house who wasn't quite yet a grown-up. Almost there, but not quite. You get it. Cissy fell into that category for me as well. Of course, the opposite of warm and kind is that evil doll that Buffy insisted on keeping near her at all times. My sister had a Mrs. Beasley doll too. Man, I hated that creepy thing. In the early 2000s, a revamped version of Family Affair hit the airwaves. Sadly, it was not a hit and would not provide Kathy with a sustained opportunity to revisit the show that had made her famous. Only semi-related, at least they softened up Mrs. Beasley a bit. That thing's not scary at all. Nice job, TV guys. At least you got that thing right. So anyway, a few months ago, on his YouTube channel, my friend Pat McCormack did a video on Kathy and what she's been up to, and you know what? I've got to say, I'm impressed. Ms. Garver definitely has been keeping herself busy. She's written books, including an autobiography that sheds a great deal of light on her life while making Family Affair. And along with biographer Fred Asher, Kathy has co-written a book that provides updates on many of the child stars from some of my favorite shows growing up. And she has also demonstrated her culinary prowess with a cookbook of holiday recipes that serves as an awesome companion to this wonderful book, which I'm going to have to track down just so I can read the foreword by Don Wells. Anyway, you get it right. It turns out that Kathy is quite the writer. She's also incredibly articulate and a delightfully willing participant on many podcast interviews that can be found with just a simple Google search. A couple that I really enjoyed are pictured here. You know, I should have known, but did not, that Kathy was the voice of Firestar in that classic 80s cartoon, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That cartoon was my brother's favorite, and we watched faithfully every Saturday morning while gobbling down our Lucky Charms and Captain Crunch. Oh, who am I kidding? Most of the time it was just Cheerios. A more recent interview with Kathy can be found on the TV Confidential podcast. It's there that I learned about the new web series Aunt Cissy. In the new show, Cissy has become one of the top models and actresses of her generation and has decided to retire from show business in order to live a new adventurous life roaming the world with her fiancé, some sort of hotshot film producer, when all of a sudden, guess what? Her twin niece and nephew show up at her front door and they need a place to stay. So along with Kathy Garver, Aunt Cissy appears to have a very talented cast, just like the original show, including Patricia Darbo and Renee Lawless as Cissy's two best friends, and Danny Arroyo as her Latin housekeeper. Like I said early on, there's a ton going on with Kathy, way too much for me to mention in this short video. She really is an unstoppable force. So if you want to catch up on everything that she's doing, I recommend that you visit her official webpage. It was there that I was reminded that Kathy actually got her start in one of my favorite movies, Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments. It was also there that I discovered Kathy's blog. Sadly, it only has a couple of posts, but I loved reading about her 24-year-old son and his girlfriend that currently live with him, or at least they did at the time of the writing of the blog post. Kathy demonstrates her trademark wit by mentioning that he's in his 5th year of school at a 2-year college. Well, Kathy, it took me 14 years to get my 4-year degree, so I've got to say, I can totally relate to your son. Truthfully, he sounds like a great guy. I suspect that the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. So that's it. One more picture from Family Affair. Well, kinda. In addition to Mrs. Beasley, my sister also had these paper dolls. I really don't know why I did it, but one day I decided to hide them from her in the oven. As you might guess, that did not turn out well for me at all. Anyway, despite that poor decision, I really did love the show. And it will be fun to see if Aunt Cissy can recapture some of that show's original magic. Alright, now it's your turn. Please share your memories in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be honored, absolutely honored, if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.